What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the Ohio State Buckeyes and their upcoming 2024 season, my expectations for this team. Before we get into the video, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, as it does help out the channel a ton, and enjoy the video. So, if you haven't been in the news lately, obviously, stuff has happened at Alabama and, all over the country. Transfer portal news, buzz is crazy, recruiting, just drama in general. It's insane in college football. There is no truly off season for the sport. It is always news. There's always everything going on. This is why we all love the sport, for the good, for the bad. We deal with it and we keep moving forward. But the Ohio State Buckeyes have interest me, and they're an interesting conversation. They just landed Caleb Downs, and obviously he was a true freshman All-American. Kind of talked about him last video. He's a heck of a football player. I think he's going to be a first-round pick. Now, they landed him, and then they landed, obviously, Quinshon Judkins out of Ole Miss, who was the Ole Miss leading rusher and SEC leading rusher. I think was the best back in the SEC. He is legit. But you land Judkins, who obviously, like I said, is legit, as any one of the best transfers, in the rankings as far as I'm concerned. You land that guy. You have Travion Henderson, who is returning to school. You got a bunch of weapons that is coming back to Ohio State. And then, boom, another commitment as of today, Sunday. They land Julian Sayin, the number one quarterback in the 2024 cycle. Obviously, he entered the transfer portal when Nick Saban retired a few days ago. It was kind of a shocker, and now he's going to Ohio State, who was one of their top choices for him coming out of high school. Downs, Judkins, Sayin, and also we forgot the quarterback, who obviously they lost, Kyle McCord and some other players on this team to the transfer portal. But they do get Will Howard, and Will Howard, he's a Kansas State quarterback, obviously. And he's a guy that's really intriguing to me because I think he is a really good quarterback. I don't know if he's the top-end, type of guy that Ohio State is used to having. But I think he's an upgrade over McCord. I think he's a better player than McCord. But I don't know how high his ceiling is, but I think he could be really good for this team. But you do have the number one quarterback in the 2024 cycle now behind Will Howard. And, you have Devin Brown. Just turned into one of the most loaded rooms in the country. That's impressive. And I would argue with these transfers, I think Ohio State, they may not have the numbers as like Colorado and some of these other programs, but they may have the best transfer portal class just in terms of the type of talent they got, because they got elite talent in the portal. And just the guys that they're adding just help out them tremendously. I think everyone would agree on that. Now we talk about the expectations of Ohio State. And what I would say is obviously it's early. I wouldn't, I'm going to try to make my prediction probably isn't to what I would have, when I'm looking at it in, spring, going into summer. That's where I kind of start, looking to see who I think the best teams in the country are. And I think Ohio State may be number one. I think they may be the favorite for me to win the national championship. Obviously with those transfers, but, you get Emeka Egbuka back. You get, a guy like Smith, who was the best player, the best wide receiver in the recruiting class. He was the number one player in general in the recruiting class on a lot of sites. So you get a guy like that, and if you watch this film, you could tell how good he is. I think he does play year one for them, which is impressive at Ohio State. So there's just so much good happening right now to Ohio State. They are loaded in 2024, and we could talk about that defense a little bit. That defense for Ohio State is returning a ton of guys. They're returning a lot of their defensive line. They're returning some of their, obviously they're returning their star linebackers that they had previously. This defense was really good in 2023, and, a lot of their stuff that they did defensively, Jim Knowles and them, I thought is really good. I thought they were really good defensively. My assessment of Ohio State, I think they should be one of the best teams in the country. They have no excuse moving forward. Ryan Day doesn't have excuse moving forward, and he's gotten a lot of heat the past few years about Michigan. I think Michigan takes a step back, so there's no excuse for Day and all these guys at Ohio State. Man, the roster is loaded. There's nothing that we can say bad about this. I'll probably be going back and forth on who I'm gonna have win the national championship as my favorite. It's between them, who I'm heavily favoring, or the Georgia Bulldogs. But yeah, the Buckeyes, man, this is a make it or break it year. And I don't think it's something like, Ryan Day gets fired. But, the questions are really setting in. Like, can Ryan Day get it done when it matters in the big games? Because in the Big Ten championship, when they've gone there, they've gotten it done, but they haven't been able to get to that point because Michigan the past few years has just beat them every single year. And, that's a big problem. And, they go to the college football playoff like the previous year and they lose. And, obviously that's a really good Georgia team. That should have been a national championship game, but it wasn't. And they almost beat them, which you got to give them credit for. But they also choked the lead. It's just something that it has to be figured out for the Buckeyes moving forward in 2024. Huge year for them, that fan base. I hope them the best of luck, man. That'll do it for me. Thank you guys for watching the video, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.